Yeah,
live.
same with mine.
Oh, yeah. All right, we all good on that one, Coach?
Yeah, we're good. We're
This one good?
Chick.
Good.
Live. Yeah, we're live.
We're live.
Live.
All right, man. You want to count me in, Waldo? And give me some tunes. Where's the tunage?
I pulled it off the laptop for the live feed. I apologize.
That's straight, brother.
We're live in 3, 2, 1.
No, don't do that. That fucked me all up. You gotta do it like we do it always, dude. I was like, did I fear change? I'm fucking furious, dude.
3, 2, 1. We've been live.
Boom, we're live, man. What the fuck is up, yo? Welcome to Wake and Bake. Of course, I'm the host, Blind James, as fucking always. You guys know you can find me on Instagram at The Real Blind James. Get a hold of our show. Watch it on Facebook and YouTube at The Wake and Bake with Blind James. And you can also listen to it on your favorite streaming platform. Just tell your phone or smart speaker to play that same fucking thing I just told you. And then, of course, pop over to patreon.com/blindjames. Give us that donation so we can keep bringing you dope interviews like the one we're bringing you today. Because we're live from the fucking oven. And, this is the studio, the beautiful palace. We got some nice fucking wall art and stuff up from the shop in Berea. Thank you to those dudes. And then, of course, we have our sponsors, Fog Vapory and Inhalables. I'll get into that in a little bit. But first and foremost, we got the man, the legend, the Don Cooch.
Yo, what's up?
Hey,
That's when we need like the claps, like
Right.
Take your shirt off.
Woo!
Let me see them titties.
Oh shit, I'm good though. I'm just chilling.
Chilling, man. You got your fucking espresso in you. Got
No, that shit's gone. That's been gone.
It's in you. It's all in
A
you.
little bit, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. You got your glass. You got a new piece over there now?
I
You just got a new piece.
got a piece I could smoke out of here.
That's good. You guys know where you can find Cooch, man, on Instagram at Don_Cooch, K-O-C-H. And then, of course, running the live streams, doing the Facebook, and doing all of our emails and shit, running the Wake and Bake social media is our producer extraordinaire, Waldo. What's up, my guy?
What's going on, buddy?
Hey, we found it.
Right here the whole time.
Right, of course. You're sneaking around doing what you do. Hitting dabs out of fucking bitches' booties and shit like that.
Hey, let's get it.
This guy's a savage, man.
Oh, is that on Patreon? I might join.
We've had two fucking.
You guys got a
We've
Patreon?
had two gorgeous butts on this show, okay?
Nice.
One was not a female. That one actually hasn't been released, so that'll be soon. Maybe you can get her third butt.
Nice. I've been working out. So.
You guys know where you can find Waldo on Instagram at Party with Waldo. Get hold of him on Facebook at Waldo Where Is. And of course, if you're hitting up the Wake and Bake, you'll be talking to him, not me. So that's the way to do things. Schedule it out with that guy. I love when some random dude will be like, "You should have me on your podcast," and I can be like, "Yeah." Hit up the fucking Instagram because they never do. Never do. It's a golden fucking thing, man. Everybody wants to be on a podcast till they, I tell them to come on a podcast.
Yeah. And it's like the frog from WB, clam up, right?
Oh, yeah, dude, right away. Dude just goes
Hello,
floppy,
my baby.
man. Hello, my baby. That's a great fucking fry. I like that frog. Dude.
Yeah.
I think they took him away.
That sucks.
Yeah, that sucks, man.
He's a legend.
R.I.P. to the WB frog.
WB frog, shout out.
Yeah. Just pour one on the curb.
Right, dude. And you know what? Here in the studio, in the oven with us today, is our friend that we met back in our first round of incarceration this past summer. He's become a good friend.
Found him at the Mansfield Reformatory.
Yeah, he found us in the fucking.
I was doing time with you guys.
We were locked up at incarceration together for a weekend. And, he runs a show called, what is it again?
Today's Boondoggle.
On
Domain Cleveland Radio.
That's the one, dude. I knew the Domain Cleveland, man. It's always the Boondoggle part. Is it the Bojangle?
Boondoggy?
Dude, when we finished my interview, you hit it, right? One take, you had it. I have a card for people, and they always struggle with the boondoggle, man. But
I pride myself on my professionalism, sir.
You were great.
Yeah, I was also, I was sweating balls because of the coffee I was drinking. That shit was no joke. So I was super stimulated, and I was focused, like like Adderall focused.
You
On
wanna give him a
getting what I
shout-out?
needed to get out. Yeah, man,
Nice,
it was
man.
fucking, I was stimulated.
It was therapeutic for me too, man.
Yeah,
good.
fucking for real, dude. It was a deep interview, and now we're gonna fucking break away from the deep stuff and get into my end of the entertainment world.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get fucking balls to the wall and get a little wakey and bakey in here. You ready for that, Don?
Ready.
Well, shit, dude. Let's get into this. So I meet you in incarceration.
Yep.
You told me about your show. You saw ours, as we talked about on your show. And, we pride ourselves on coming in there looking like the best.
Like you
sounding
know what
the
you're
best.
doing? Yeah.
Yeah, and doing what the fuck we do as the
Yeah.
Wake and Bake, man. We have a great time, but we try to be the most fucking professional show that
Yeah, you
ever
guys
seen.
looked at it. You caught my eye, man. I was over there like with penis envy and shit, you know? Because, I mean,
We come through with what I call BDE. Are you hip to BDE?
no, what's
It's
BD?
big dick energy.
Yeah, there you
Hell
go.
Yeah, we come
Always
through
come with that
with
big dick.
that
energy.
big
Great, great. That's where it comes from.
That's right, man. Even when we're not running our
Dick
shit, we
chakra
come through
is like
strong.
clear.
It's like when we were going through the fucking security at a Riot Fest, and the dude fucking touched Cooch's dong. And Cooch was like, "What's
Whoa,
that?"
we carried a
No,
weapon.
the guy was like, "What's that?" Cooch was like, "It's my shit, man." He's like, "No, but what is it?" He's like, "It's my shit, dog. Like, I'm just well endowed." And the guy was like, "Oh, my bad. Oh,
But really, it was just my bowl. For real. I mean, he didn't search James, but he had to search me. So it was like, shit,
I
bro.
get everything.
Yeah,
I know the deal. I
Make
know
this
the,
guy your motherfucking blind
Hey.
mule, man.
you see
Yeah,
my,
you
you see
should
the
do.
case. You see the case. That's not bad. And he's just like, yo, what the fuck is that? I was like, shit, you know what it is.
Yeah, dog.
That's exactly what I said though too. I was like, you know what it is. And he was like,
My
no,
shit.
what is that? I was like, that's my shit, man. He's like, oh.
Just imagine your like glass bowl, and I was like this security guard touching this hard glass pipe, and then and then he's wondering.
Big
I
energy.
was wondering if the security guard was uncomfortable because he thought you were hard.
Just fucking going through security, fucking rocked up, dude.
It's all nice and smooth.
He's fully torqued.
Yeah, you can like smooth it.
Nice and smooth
You like
and
how
rock
it flares
hard,
out at the end?
baby. Why is it a little hot down here? Throwing off some heat down here, man.
Yeah, man. That was a nice, you got a nice But yeah, going through incarceration was fucking sweet. Obviously, being a blind guy, they don't check us for too much. So
Yeah,
we were
yeah,
just kind of sitting there smoking down with the bands, having a good time.
Look,
Where were
Putting
you
dads
guys?
in the van.
Where were you guys fucking
In the tent, we were in the media
how'd you
tent
get
with
in
you
the
guys.
tent?
Because we're media too, man.
No, wait, I was thinking the fucking catering tent. Sorry.
Oh, no.
No,
There
No,
was
what's
somebody
his-
we met
I
that was
wish.
in the tent. They were pissing me off because they kept coming back and being like, "Oh, you guys aren't in the tent," and I'm like, "Does it
Yeah.
look like we're in the fucking tent, motherfucker? They put a sign up that says no media because of me."
Yeah. No, well, Dom's, an expert at getting into catering from,
Oh, I'm him too. I just walked by and told him I didn't see the sign.
Yeah,
Really
exactly.
easy.
Yeah, you got the. That's what I said when I seen you guys pulling up and setting up. I'm like, what kind of angle is this dude working? I
That's
don't
what
want to believe it.
everybody.
Hey, bro, we
thinks,
deserve that shit too, though.
Yeah,
We deserve the
yeah.
food
Hey,
too.
hey,
I
man?
agree. I
They
think
really
the media,
push shit.
especially what was it, Saturday, dude? It was hot as balls, and they couldn't even bring us enough water, man.
So,
Oh,
I was
yeah.
so irritated. I didn't even stick around for the
shit.
end. I was just like, let's go back to the hotel, dude. This sucks. I gotta eat.
What really got me, I was cool with that, but there's some fucking dude that kept coming over. He's like, "Yeah, we're doing interviews in there." I'm like, "How?" He's like, "Oh, we're all access." And I'm like, "What? Whose dick did you suck? Maria's?"
I mean, shit. No.
Nah, but for real though.
I mean, shit. We'll probably have shit. You just got to move
We'll
up,
see what's
man. I
going
guess.
on. We'll
I
see
guess.
what's
I
poppin'.
guess it's like you got to just have
We got the
seniority,
wall to
maybe, or
Bango
something.
this year, so fuck, we'll whip up our own meals.
Yeah, man.
We'll just pull up right there.
Right, dog. We don't even need that tent this year. We can bring people to the.
I'm gonna need a laminate just to get into your guys' wall to Bango, man.
That's what, yeah. That's what I'm saying.
We're gonna have to
We're gonna
apply
need
for
that
some
back.
access for that, so we can come hang with you guys.
Oh,
We made
You
laminate.
know what? My goal is this year is that we made enough noise last year that people will be like, "Oh shit, the Wake and Bake's here." And now that we're back there by the bands and shit this year because of the fucking Wall to Bango, now we can really stir the pot you know, before and after hours.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, you already know, dude. It was like being in the media tent, dude. Day 3, we had a fucking crowd surrounding us of all the other media people. And I mean, that shocked me because that was
I'm
fucking.
all right, man.
You want to
that
pass
was-
it over to James?
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, that was
James up there.
iHeart people there, and
All you gotta do is help him with a light over
there's,
there.
with the light.
you know, there was some real fucking
Bring the
big,
light.
great, big name
And then
DJs
pulling
doing
the
interviews
slide,
there
that's the
that
only
were pulling
things he's
fucking.
not too hot at.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have to hear.
You ready?
I can do this. Time out on the wake and bake. You'll hear what's going on. Where's the slide?
Good? Yeah, right here. You want me to light it or?
Yeah, I gotta go. Yeah.
Good?
Mhm.
I don't want to burn your fingers or nothing. There we are. Yeah, that one's rough to clear. all right. Sweet.
Oh yeah.
Dude, did I pass it back?
Yeah.
How's this work?
Yeah, pass it over.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank Cypress Hill for having me on their show.
How long ticket?
Oh man, yeah. You know what? One day we'll get them on the wake and bake.
Oh yeah. So yeah, man, like you know, incarceration.
Yeah, how did you get into that, man? Because you know, I had the plug because I think it was Denise, or maybe no, I think it was Denise that you know we threw our sales pitch at Adrenaline,
Yeah.
and right away they hit us back because now we can disclose this. They hit us back within a week and went, hey, we haven't announced or done anything as far as, you know, letting people know who's in for media. But we'd like to let you guys know that we love the idea of your show and you're definitely in. So
Nice,
that was fucking dope.
Yeah, that shit.
Yeah,
We
Maria
knew
and
about it,
Denise and
like,
them good people.
6 months beforehand, and we were like, oh, dude, we wanted to like announce it so bad.
At least Tyler didn't fuck up on that one.
You know what? You're right. That was a good one. That one. That was
He
good
didn't
for us.
leak that.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was dope. And then same with you know, I look forward to, like I said, this year going out and making some noise. But so how did you get in? How did you go about this and get your show started? And
I mean, like back in late 90s, I was, you know, I had a lot of friends that are in the music scene, and always wanted to get involved somehow, but I have absolutely no talent, no musical whatever, you know. I mean, I sang a little bit of choir in school or whatever, but you know, just been a big fan. I tried to learn, but I never had my
Public or
ADD
Catholic
wouldn't let
school?
me learn. What's that?
you go public or Catholic school?
Public.
Public. Okay, so
Yeah.
you didn't get molested.
Yeah, no, not yet. I mean, I was an altar boy, so I was a near
Say not
miss,
yet.
man. You know, but
It sounded like you just said no, not yet.
no, I mean, you know, if
Maybe
the
one
name
day.
starts growing, I get out there, we'll see. You know,
Maybe we'll get molested.
But, yeah.
I mean, maybe in a good way.
I mean, maybe I'll be able to have it on my rider or something someday. I'll get big enough to,
Like,
you know, say I need to be molested backstage once with all the red
Yeah, and I like to,
M&Ms
I'm-
in one bowl.
Right, and I like to get my feet tickled too. So that's gonna be a weird rider for me one day.
Yeah, I like, you know, throw on one of those oil funnels in my ass and drop all the red M&Ms,
Well,
you know, in there, like, you know.
like you want to boof M&M's.
Yeah, like what was the
Whoa.
what was the thing we were talking about? My strange addiction we were talking about earlier, like
Yeah,
the coffee
yeah.
enemas
Oh,
and all
yeah,
that
yeah,
shit.
if you were addicted to
Yeah. I mean, can
A
you imagine
coffee
shooting out some
enema.
M&Ms? You know,
I've seen some
it's like
fucking-
spitballs. You know.
I've seen some videos online
Yeah,
along
what
those
the
lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't 2 girls, 1 cup,
Yeah.
but I've seen ones that are actually, you know, pushing cool stuff out. I saw one girl put like 6 of those, you know, like those like little like handheld sized basketballs that like you have for like the little things in your office or whatever. Or in your room
Yeah.
When you were a
Got what
kid.
you're saying, yeah.
Right, so she had like 6 of those in her giant gaping vagina, and then she just started popping them out.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was awesome, dude.
Like that's
Oh
like
my
I.
God, that's
I've seen the ones where you play ping pong against the opponent that shoots them out like the
that's
swings and things.
that's
You know,
amateur
like you're
hour. That's amateur
like you're at the batting cage and shit like
yeah,
that.
no, that's
He's like,
amateur
no.
ping pong
Okay.
is
He's like,
amateur
yeah,
hour.
he's
Yeah, what if
basketball.
she was like
Like,
shooting
I'm
them at the basketball hoop? Bro?
That was
Yeah,
fucking
scoring,
sick, but
dude.
no, there was just too many.
Like
so,
Steph Curry in that
it's just-
bitch?
It was so,
Yeah.
Her pussy was just so fucking wide and fluffed out already that they were just she was dropping them in pretty much. There was no shooting that.
She was
back.
Arby's, man.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah,
worse.
she had the
Dude.
meats.
It was just a fucking hole, and then she sat up and just kind of bent over, and they all just one after the. It was like a train.
Sweet, man.
Dude, it was crazy. Man. You have to look that one up.
It's on your Patreon, I thought. Right?
I don't know how to do it. Hey, can I keep it real? I'm don't know how Patreon works. I have a Patreon page. We could have money on there.
Yeah, I
I
know,
don't
dude.
know.
I have no idea either.
I
I
haven't
don't even
checked.
have one yet.
Well, dude, for somebody, I've
I've been
had
just
one.
hearing about people
Do
talking
we
about
put anything out on it?
Yeah. We had one. It was shit on there for 6 months. I have no clue what there is. No clue. We'll have to check that.
Look in.
one
You guys
day.
probably got like money deposited or something somewhere.
I mean,
you don't
that's
know
the
about,
hope,
you know?
huh?
Yeah.
That is the hope. You know,
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
like might
Who
have
knows?
donated a buck or
You
two.
can't be
when I
turning a
first
blind
got
eye
your
to this stuff,
Instagram
James.
page, and I can't remember. I
Dude, I'm
really
the
want to
fucking
look
worst at
now.
this, man. I'll tell you what. People call me, my fucking fiance the other day. I said something fucking stupid. I was like, yeah,
No.
just spit on my tits or something. And she was like, people think that you're like this innovative, fucking smart, go-getter guy. You're so fucking stupid. And I'm like, yeah,
But there's a market for it. out
there is,
you know?
ain't it? Huh.
There is.
Yeah, I'm feeling it too. But yeah,
Nice,
man. So how did you start your show though, man? So
So
we got how you got into incarceration. And, you emailed some people. Obviously, you were into the type of music, or you wouldn't have fucking applied for something.
yeah,
like that.
well, I mean, I kind of got to go. My mind works in timeline ways, so I kind of got to start from the beginning, tell you, how it started and how we got to where it's at. And
Let's do this. Let me
whatever.
break this
Yeah.
down then, because I'm so used to interviewing bands and just talking music. I never really I never get to break down somebody on an interview because it's not a lot of one-on-one. I'm doing bands most of the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's start it off. Where'd you fucking grow up, man? What was that?
North Homestead. I'm a
Local boy.
class of
local
class
Cleveland
of
guy.
1991. Let's just give my age
For those
away
of
there.
us who aren't
Yeah.
from Cleveland, North Homestead is it's a nice little
Eagle
suburb.
Pride, baby.
Yeah, and them Eagles, bro, them black and orange, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. My mother went to Butternut Elementary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Right, and
Yeah, I
then
know that's
I
right.
lived in the Country Club condominiums right across
by the
from
mall.
St. Richard's parking
Yeah,
lot.
right across St. Richard's. Yeah.
That was literally the apartment directly across from St. Richard's parking lot.
Wow, man. So we probably crossed paths back in the day and didn't even know.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
dude, I sat on that fucking porch and tripped acid, smoked bongs. I mean, that was my shit, man. Sit there and just stare at fucking St. Richard's.
Nice.
Dude, one time I was tripping really hard on acid, and I was seeing a bunch of crazy shadows going in and out of those trees.
Like
behind the
a
parking
spiritual awakening coming from the
lot. No,
church,
I was
huh?
freaking out. I had to call my friends to come pick me up, and then I dosed them.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm a good friend.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah,
ended
I
up
mean,
naked
that's a good friend.
Then I ended
man.
up
It's
naked
not
on the
like the
golf
worst
course.
friend.
Oh, okay. Over off of was the one that was right down.
No, I was all the way in Amherst.
Oh, okay.
I don't know
All
how
right.
it all
Wow,
happened.
yeah.
I was on. Have you ever heard of microdots?
No.
So they're like, well, can you explain a microdot to the people?
Is that like the thing where they're talking about with the
So-
micro dosing?
No,
It's good for, like,
so
mental
it's
health?
extremely
Yeah,
concentrated.
that's
now.
exactly,
okay,
yeah. So
okay,
it's
okay.
The
it's
simplest way
So
to
it's like
put
a
it.
dab thing for acid
Right,
or something.
exactly,
kind
on
of?
acid, right? So it's like these little
usually on a
tiny-
blotter.
Yeah, it's
Not that I know. So I've
Yeah,
heard.
it's usually
So-
on a blotter or
or
like
these little tiny, like what we had. It was like a blotter, but right in the middle, there's like a little hump on it. Where
Okay.
that's where the super concentrated amount is. So it looks like a standard hit of acid, but right in the middle, there's that little fucking hitter, baby. And yeah, so I was on about 3 of those, and I went and dosed my friends. We're driving around, and then we're tripping way
And
too
you
hard,
ended
so
up
we
in
had
a
to stop.
golf course in Amherst,
Yeah, and I ended up naked.
naked.
Also, the Florida, the Key West thing, that's Robert the Doll. that you were
Robert the
talking about.
doll, yeah, dude.
Robert the
That's
doll. Okay.
Yeah, we were talking about the doll that I
possessed
had as a
dolls and
child.
whatever. Yeah.
because I had one of those little My Buddy dolls that
Buddies.
looked just like me. But I don't want one to yet because I heard about that Robert the Doll dude. It freaked me out as
Yeah,
a kid.
man,
Now
I
I
gotta
know
look
it's
that up.
bullshit. People are just fucking dumb. There's a bunch of hillbillies who are just needing attention.
Yeah.
But, it's whatever, man. I don't want one in my house. I feel like it
I
would freak
feel
my
you.
fiance out and she would bitch about it a lot. That's probably what I really don't want to do.
I was like an asshole
Not a
dad
possessed
too,
doll.
man. With when my girls were little, they had like it was like a girl My Buddy type doll or whatever. But I would like move it and set it up like it was standing on their window, leaning in, looking at them like I was pulling the Annabelle crap on him. I was
Yeah,
just
right,
horrible,
dude.
man.
You're like hiding.
It's like now I'm paying for the
Blankets over it
counseling.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. They got rid of it and thought it was gone, and then I would sneak it back in. I'd have it like
Oh,
standing
you're a
next to their
fucking
doorway
shithead,
and shit
dude.
like that. Yeah,
Oh,
I was a
that's mean.
dick. You know,
You're
I'm sorry.
sad, Dad. That's
Sorry,
awesome.
girls.
No, that's
You know?
great. No,
That's
I'm
awesome.
sorry. That made them better people.
Yeah.
That's
Good thing we got the
inspiring.
insurance to cover the counseling that they have to get now because of
Yeah.
me traumatizing them.
As someone
It was all in fun, all in love. You know,
Right.
you don't
well,
know what you
look
don't
forward,
know.
Look at this. At least now, when they have kids, they're gonna know what to do.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
scare the fuck out of
But
them.
not too soon. We're not rushing that.
No,
I don't wanna
no.
be
Well,
Papa yet.
but when the day comes,
Yeah.
you know, hopefully, in about 20, 30 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you look forward to having grandkids at any point?
Down the line, I mean, I'm like one of the things that I've told my girls, and it's why I've been trying so much to get healthy and go through, all the,
Where's your gym you've been rolling at? You're doing jujitsu now, you said.
We haven't done the rolling yet. He's been working on my cardio, building me up.
Well, yeah, you don't
There.
fuck yourself up. Going that goal.
Yeah. My cardio has sucked, but I mean, we had a good day today. It's called RTSC Training. It's in Brook Park. My friend Ray Terry owns it, and it's off Eastland over there. And they I think they're connected with, I think it's called SAS. Oh wait, it's on my thing here.
Yeah.
SAS Jiu-Jitsu based out of Columbus. And he coaches kids, man, and these kids are killers that he's got
Oh,
out
that's
there.
what
They're
you gotta
awesome,
do,
man.
jujitsu.
Yeah,
You get
man,
into
I
it
wish
when
I could
you're
get
young,
my
dude, you'll be a
younger.
fucking animal when you're
Yeah,
old. Holy
man.
Shit.
So he's been doing that for a while, and I lived right down the street, and like we were talking about in the car, I had to finally get to a good headspace where I was just like, shit or get off the pot, man. You've been wanting to do this, go do it. So he's been my accountability guy, getting me, working out and training and dropping weight and my nutrition and everything. I'm finally taking it serious, like at 46. But beginning of pretty much next month, I'm gonna start rolling over there. Now, I mean, I'm not looking to get into competition and this and that. I just want to get healthy. When I was like, hearing, like, I would listen sometimes to the Jocko podcast, that Navy SEAL guy.
Yeah, that is a fucking beast.
Man,
Yeah, he's big into
oh,
jiu-jitsu.
man.
He would talk about it, and I know with my anxiety, PTSD, there's a lot of mental aspect to the jiu-jitsu too. That's like a calming, a focus type thing. So not only will it be like doing it for my physical health, but my mental health as well.
Have
so
you
I'm
thought
looking forward to
about
all
getting
that.
into yoga at all to help with?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I love it. Speaking of sponsorships in the future, DDP Yoga, man. Yeah, dude, I love DDP Yoga. I got it. Yeah, man, he's sweet.
Is it, dude?
Yeah.
It's one of those fucking things where it's like, damn it, James, just fucking order it. Quit being a little pussy. Just get it, dude. You know you want it. I need to, man. I really
It's
do.
good. I mean, I got to get reconnected with it. I mean, I was doing it for a little bit, and then, what was great is just like the flexibility I was able to get.
That's
out
what
of
I'm
it.
looking for,
It's like
man.
I got
I
lower
live a
back
very
lockup issues, and it's like it's hard to unless I'm doing that stuff. I get loosened up, and then my chiropractor can adjust me.
Yeah, that
and all
fucks
that
me
stuff,
up. Being blind, I live a much more sedimentary lifestyle than most people do.
Yeah.
So I really need to get into something like that. 100%.
It's good. I totally, big on that too. I mean, I've heard, people like, Chris Jericho on his podcast talk about it and just like how it saved his career. His career was almost
got
done
to
with his
meet Chris
back.
Jericho, man.
Yeah,
Like,
Ink
I was so
Incarceration.
close to meeting him.
Yeah.
But he's
We said what's
you
up.
want to talk
Yeah.
about a real fucking athlete? All right. There's certain people in this world where it's like, that dude's fit. He's in shape. Shit. Like, no offense, but like Waldo, dude, you're fucking busting your ass. You're working out and shit.
I'm in shape.
You're gonna look good. You're in shape, but you're
not
not an
an
athlete. No, Chris
Yeah.
Jericho took 6.5-foot steps, okay, and walked at his slow walk was a brisk pace of 13 miles an hour. All right, that is a real fucking machine.
Dude, he's all go, man.
Holy
Love to talk to him
fuck.
sometime too, because I mean, from the band, the wrestling, the podcast,
way to be professional and have your phone on.
yeah, that was my alarm to remind me before it gets too late to have dinner. So
Oh,
you guys
fuck
feed me
you,
later.
fuck
Where's
you.
catering?
Hey, You know,
hell kind of
wreck
wreck
it happen.
I'm
Don't
feeling
worry.
hungry too. We might grab something after.
Yeah, we always end up doing something, man. So
All right, sweet.
no worries there. No trouble.
But yeah, I mean, the dude does, friggin' his podcast. He's, in the band touring and then wrestling and stuff, and has a family. It's like, how do you fit it all in, man? I gotta know, man. That's amazing. Much respect.
I got 3 letters for you. PED.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me, man?
All right.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid, man.
All right.
PED all day.
All right.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
All right.
Ain't nobody naturally doing that. Nobody.
All right.
You think The Rock is natural?
Uh,
Please. All
I
right.
don't know. That
Strong
man,
like bull, though.
No.
Brahma bull.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid, Waldo.
Mhm.
You need to listen to more podcasts.
I don't know, man.
You need to listen to more podcasts.
You
Mhm.
might just be
Yeah.
a fucking.
You don't just
You don't-
naturally do
yeah,
that.
you don't look like nobody looks like that au naturel. Just like they'll tell you fucking Brock Lesnar, dude.
I'm gonna
There's your case in
stride just to be like, I told you.
point. Look it all up, man.
I know.
I mean, you
I
gotta
know,
do
there's a
something.
lot to
Everybody
I don't
uses
wanna-
something.
I'm a fucking
Everybody,
magic killer.
everybody, whether you're an athlete or anything, they use that shit.
Yeah, you have to
Exactly.
sustain that lifestyle.
Yeah.
You absolutely.
Dude, that takes a
have to.
fucking toll on your body. Think of like people that have to play fucking 80
Why
something
do you
games.
think Joe
know.
Rogan openly tells people just get on TRT and just be open about it? Get
Well, I
on
mean,
TRT.
at that age, like you fucking need
That's what I'm saying.
testosterone.
You have to.
Yeah.
After 40, you absolutely need
That's
it.
like
It's impossible.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, but like at a young
Note
age,
to
like
self:
you
look
can
into
do that yourself.
testosterone replacement therapy.
Like as a young dude, you're cool. You know what I mean? Your body is taking care of that itself. But like
Yeah.
above 40 for sure.
Young dude, you're
totally look
jerking off
into
like
that. That's
3
interesting.
to 5 times a day.
I'm still jerking
know?
off 3 to 5 times a day.
Oh,
Hey, bro.
Hey,
Totally.
46 is a little rougher, man.
Yeah, see, I'm
I'm
sure, man. That's what I'm saying.
Smoke signals are coming
by
out.
about
Tusk
40.
puffs.
By about 40, if I'm going to look to get into TRT about 40
Yeah, I'm
years
gonna
old.
have to look into that too.
Especially with you working out and doing physical shit now, absolutely you should be on TRT.
We'll see. I mean, I one of the things
Looking for that sponsorship
kind of
over here.
scares me. Yeah,
No, because
that
look, man,
too. But
it's not like you're going on. Now, keep this in mind because it's not like you're buying fucking testosterone and fucking Deca and fucking Anavar from a goddamn dude. No, you're getting this in low controlled doses from a doctor to level you out and keep you at the exact levels that were optimal for a human body, which is a person at the age of like 25.
yeah, well, we'll look into it. We'll talk about it. I know one thing with my anger and irritability and PTSD. I sometimes am afraid to get too jacked up. Like I'm gonna be the road rage guy that
See,
makes
this
the
is
news
why
and
you need to
stuff.
go to a real TRT doctor because
Yeah.
that shit doesn't happen when you're on real controlled dosing, an actual TRT
All
therapy.
right, I'll look into it. A year from now, you have me back on. I'll show you my abs.
That's what I'm saying, dude, and that's what I'm saying. You go on
Looking like the Rock, man.
Yeah,
So, and it's not going to have you all jacked and anything, not at all. Like I said, when you go to these controlled things, they just do enough to bring it so that you are at the human body's optimum levels.
Yeah.
Nothing, they're not going to overdose you on it, so you're not going to get fucking jacked. I'm going to tell you what, you go to the gym,
And I'll have energy.
you're going to feel like you're
put
20,
out. Yeah,
20 years old at the gym, though.
good
You're
man.
going to feel like I can go pump for 2 hours.
Yeah, go back and jack off 3 times a day again.
100%, dude. 100% nonstop crankage, dude.
Sweet.
You'd be busting nuts all over Cleveland.
I love it.
Yeah, dude. Who doesn't want to bust nuts
Peter
all
North.
over?
I'll be the
Jacking in
Peter
San
North of the North
Francisco.
Coast, baby.
Dude, just go paint a hotel room, dude. Fucking mark it up, dog.
Nice.
Shit, yeah.
Shit, yeah.
Don't come in with the blue light when I'm done,
Man,
baby.
dude, you invite the monster dolls back, dog.
Oh,
good old time.
Dude, you get me going. On
I
the
get you
monster
going
dolls,
on the
man.
monster dolls, dog.
Man,
Bellatrix,
my future
Love
ex-wife
Misery.
was the Marine.
Your ex-wife.
I don't know which
man.
one that is.
I forget what her name is too, man. I'm sorry. I'm already off to a bad start if she watches.
She's the one
but,
with tattoos. She's the one
well,
with
they all kind of
the
got
butt
those. But,
tattoos. She's short, tall.
She was in the Marine Corps, so it's like I loved that
I don't know which one that
aspect
was.
too. I think she had like the tattoo across the chest and stuff too. She had a lot of tattoos, the one across the chest.
Bellatrix, she probably.
Was that the one with the face
I think so.
tattoos?
No.
Was
I
it the
don't
one
think
with the
so.
split tongue?
Yeah, I think so. I think
Yeah.
that was her.
Yeah, that's Bellatrix.
Yeah,
God damn.
Mm.
I got a real soft spot for that.
Who doesn't? I got a real hard spot for that one, dude. I don't know what
Right?
you're talking about.
Man.
Nothing on me softer on her, buddy. I need to readjust
Be
my
like,
seat real
The
quick.
cooch is pipe in my pants, man.
Oh, yeah. That's the shit, man.
Yeah.
Ah, that's funny. So yeah, we'll go back to so you grew up, you're a local Cleveland dude. How'd you get into the music industry? When did all that start?
Well, like I said, I always, I was a big fan of music. I had friends in high school that were in bands, and we'd go to shows and whatever. And then, I start going to, a lot of the local Cleveland music shows as I got old, especially, when I came home from active duty. I just kind of fell into the scene. All my friends were involved with music, and I would go to shows, and like I wanted to do what they were doing, but I knew, I didn't, and also my anxiety and shit. I mean, I think that's another reason why I drank and drugged so much,
I
was
feel
just
that,
to try
buddy.
and,
I
Yep.
feel that first.
feel like I could fit in, and feel like I could belong.
Why
or
does
whatever.
everybody kind of do that when you're younger? I mean, I also
Yeah.
like doing it, but I mean, after a while, you like doing it.
Well, then it becomes
So,
a leisure, yeah.
Yeah. But, well, I mean, there's some shit that when I was on active duty at 19 years old that, that I saw happen. So then it was like, that's
Where were
kind of
you?
where it started. I was attached to a F-14 squadron, the Jolly Rogers, VF-84, down in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And our squadron was attached to the Theodore Roosevelt aircraft carrier.
Oh, no
So when the
shit.
aircraft
That's
carrier
right.
went out on things, we, our squadron
You're on
went.
deck.
So I was a guy on deck running
Yeah.
around, and I actually, witnessed a guy during night ops get blown over the side and
No.
recovered and stuff
That's
like
like
that.
one of the scariest
Pass
fucking
yeah,
things,
dude, and
What,
it-
how far of a fall is it off the
Dude.
deck, off the flight deck to the water?
I mean, if in a good scenario, I mean, that maybe he died on impact and wasn't aware of whatever happened.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
dude, if you we're sitting there floating, I just kept thinking, I don't know, I was like one of those like empath kids. I just kept putting myself in that
it's
position.
right next to the
You know?
Gatorade bottle.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Here you go. And I was just imagining like if you were conscious floating out there in darkness and watching your only light, your light just float away. So that kind of screwed me up. So when we hit
And when you're
ports,
out on the
man, I went hard, man. I started drinking and partying, and then just hookers, whatever. I mean, just to numb it, just to take my head.
But let me go back
That's
to the
fine.
deck real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
you're out there on the deck, you're in your suit, right?
yeah. We got
Whatever, get up.
Yeah.
Now, is there flotation devices built in case of that?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
There's
like
little
our-
beacon lights and shit on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
all
they
right.
had all that, but I mean, I'm hoping it's gotten a lot better than when it was back then, with
Mhm.
technology and everything today. But I mean, it was just like a little thing. You'd have to almost do like a pre-check before you go upstairs. You gotta, like, if you're jumping out of a plane, you make sure your parachute's
Right.
right
yeah.
or whatever.
And your backup.
Be like,
and
all right, if we're going up top, make sure that this thing's working. Is there a hole in this thing? Can I, blow it up to float if I have to?
Right.
Will the thing pull
All
in?
the, all the mechanisms.
Will the beacon
ready.
work? All that stuff.
Right.
So yeah, so that that ended up happening, and then I ended up staying in the reserve, so I did get my 20 to retire. But active duty after that experience, I came home and just started hanging with my friends and the music thing, and the drinking and stuff had already been caught on.
Right.
I
Absolutely.
didn't know.
man.
I didn't know how to interact with my friends.
I hear how it is when you come back from fucking being out on the water for a while, man.
A lot of times people were like, a lot of my good friends were like, dude, what? He's not the same person. Because I was the one that always take things to extreme when we go out. Let's go out for a couple beers and have a good time. Well, I had to take things amped up and
That's
then
a bottle and a half.
screwed
That
up
ain't a couple
my
beers,
dark
I don't know.
humor and stuff, just like as I still have, and I've been learning to embrace.
Right.
But the average my friends that went to college and did all the whatever normal stuff and now are married and with the white picket fences and stuff are just like, dude, we can't hang with you anymore. My wife won't let you come over. You know? And even sober now, it's kind of sad because, you know, couples start doing couple things and then, you know.
I am in that life now. I'm that couple's doing couple things and got my shit together, and there's still people from my past that will not fuck with me because of how I used to be.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I don't know, you know, it's just like relation, like we were talking before, you know, like me doing my thing with today's boondoggle and interviewing people has become like a therapy for me because I really don't know I didn't know how to interact and communicate with people like on a regular normal level unless I was drunk or high, you know, or something, you know, had that social lubricant or whatever.
That's what we do.
Now I'm learning to live life by life's terms, you know.
Dude, I don't have my medication, my marijuana to keep me calm and sane. I'm like a totally different, just introverted wreck of a person.
Yeah, dude, and
not cool.
I can't even internet date right, dude. I'm still like a little, you know, because when it comes to like being face to face, I don't know how to.
Oh, that's so easy, dude. Now you just swipe right and go down.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, when you get about my age, maybe it's time to, you know, settle down and part early or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, so then, you know, I come back and my friends were in bands and, you know, there was this band back in the day called Deaf Children at Play, you know, and they were on like WMMS was having a lot of play or whatever. And I was like, kind of like really, you know, I was just like, man, I got to start going to these shows. And I like watching them perform and whatever. Then I ended up becoming friends with them and I'm like helping sell merch or whatever, you know, as time went on. And then a few years later, they had 107.9 The End, and The End was doing a like End Fest or something, and it was all the headliners were the biggest local bands at the time, and it was Deaf Children at Play and Mushroomhead, you know. So I'm there with Deaf Children at Play, and Mushroomhead was the final one. It was my first time, and I heard a bunch of people talking about them, my friends telling me about them. This was 94, 95, something like that. Yeah. And they came in, it was, you know, at the Agora, and this was back when they had Jeff had the wedding dress on and the shoulder pads and the devil mask. And,
way old.
You know, yeah, old school, man. And it's just like, J-Man came out, and he had like this, you know, he had a mask on, he wasn't even painting his face yet. Looked like this goblin dude.
He was in the band.
Yeah, and then he's got like a fur coat on, and he's walking out, and two women are crawling on leashes. Roxy was one, and you know, and I was just like, dude, I was sold. I was like, Def who, you know, and then I jumped ship, man, and I became a shroom head, and eventually ended up becoming friends with those guys. And then as time went on, you know, like the Ringworm guys.
Still friends with any of the dudes? Or the dude from Mushroomhead?
Yes. I mean, we don't like talk like we used to. I mean, when we all started having kids around the same time. I heard he's a
real ball licker.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not, you know. I don't talk upon a lot of that stuff because it's like I had a history with all of those guys. So it's like for a while I was like choosing sides, and it wasn't a fight that involved me, you know, really.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I just don't like I hear from a lot of people who I consider friends in the music industry.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of how things are done, but some people run their business how they want to run their business, I guess.
Or a lot of people that have came on the Wake and Bake and tried to do this show with us don't like the way that I run shit like a Hitler. So
Hitler.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you know, I was friends with those guys, became friends with a lot of guys in the band Ringworm, and me and Frank Three Gun were roommates back in the day, and he you know, he was the original guitar player, Ringworm. He had played in Integrity and stuff. So I would go into their shows, and I was helping out, and I would see him put together like these hardcore shows at the Fantasy, and I was like, maybe that's something I could do. I could start putting shows together. And he helped me put my first show together, and booked the bands, booked, you know, the Fantasy, had a good show, like Brian Scarhead from New York. They were the headliner, and it was a good night. And I was like, wow. And the bands got paid, and I'm taking home money. this is a cool thing, man. Let me get into
Good
this.
night,
You
huh?
know?
I love when I think everything turns out good.
Yeah. So that's my original exposure to actually work in the business was I would promote shows, I would book bands and whatever. But that ended up also being the thing that like really, cranked up my drug and alcohol use too, because it was just like you hanging with
Living
rock
the
stars,
life.
you're running hard with rock stars all the time, and plus it was just like stressful. You always wanted things to go perfectly, and they didn't always go smoothly.
That's my least favorite part about
Sometimes
it.
when
That is my.
sometimes you bring in a you
That's
didn't
true.
Damn, that
It's
is the
true.
pain of my existence.
you
You
bring
have to
I want-
expect
I
that,
know,
though,
because I'm like,
sometimes.
damn, man, if people, these shows, man, and I'm like, I can run everything so fucking smooth, and then it's
and
like,
then it don't work out sometimes. Like there was times where, so I started getting into that, and when me and Frank were still living together, that's when my ex got pregnant with our first child, and it was just like, the party's over, dude. You got to move. We got to live separately. I got to, try and slow down. But it's like, it was like they called me Dollar Bill back in the day, and it was just like that had took over too much. So it was just like I was trying to be a dad part time, but then wear a different hat and still be in the music scene. And it's like I felt like I had to be at every show every weekend, like Norm from Cheers,
yeah, dude.
and show up and stuff. It became another addiction. And so as time went on, and I wasn't just because of the friendships and the networking. And Frank today now plays guitar in Hatebreed.
Hell yeah.
So as the connections went on through the years, it was just like I was just like, hey, maybe I can do interviews, and have interviews on the website. Maybe we could, and we got hooked up with like labels and like Adrenaline back in the day was like, hey, you want to go review this show? Okay. And that's how that started. And this was back in the day where people like would read. So it's like I would record an interview and then I'd go home and transcribe it.
The whole thing.
Yeah, I hated that, man. It was just before like Dragon or whatever,
man.
dictation and all that. But if I could find those recordings today, man, there was some good stuff.
Who's some of your favorite bands?
So I started really liking it. For interviewing?
Yeah.
Getting to know? Lamb of God,
Word.
Randy. I had a good opportunity back in the day, and was lucky to actually become like friends with the dude. I'd stayed at his home when I was down in Virginia for like military training, and I had like a weekend off, and he's like, "Come on up here," and I stayed with him.
That's dope.
And and unfortunately, I burnt that bridge, before I got mobilized overseas. We had a little falling out, and I was just like, a dick, and I, he's a guy I still like to try and make amends with, at some opportunity. But, this dollar bill thing kind of took over, and I started thinking I was bigger than, I believe in my own press and becoming that I was bigger than some of the bands and all this shit.
Yeah.
My home life was falling apart. It was just a mess, and
Yeah, that's why I got people like Cooch that check me.
yeah, man.
Fucking Ron James, bitch.
Yeah.
See, he does shit like that, and it reminds me to be humble.
Yeah.
You walk in somewhere, man, and be like, I'm fucking Blind James, bitch. And I'm like, oh, damn, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm fucking Blind James, bitch. Damn.
I had people that tried, to humble me back in the day, and it was just like, I had to be humbled by, when I got mobilized to go overseas and stuff. But yeah, so the music thing, I would do the promotions, which led into the website, which led into the interviewing, and kind of getting into that aspect. And like when I got mobilized and went overseas, that was another life-changing thing, and I was about to lose my custody of my kids. Me and my ex were done. That was kind of like my bottom, coming home, and I knew I had to turn things around. So I got sober and started hitting, meetings. And then I was like, I'm one of those all or nothing dudes. It's like I was just like, I'm either all one, and I'm learning balance now, thank God. But
yeah, dude,
I came home, I got
everything
sober,
in
I got like
moderation,
religion, and then I was just like, I can't do nothing with any of this music, so I left it. Kept the website kind of going in the background, but never was like,
actively.
I was just like, I got to be dad, I got to do this, I got to, and now, as time has gone on the past several years, and my kids are older, you know, Dad still needs a hobby. I still got this thing. So I kind of brought it back to life, and now I'm trying to do the podcast thing with today's
How long has it been
boondoggle
since
or
you've been back on the scene?
A few years now, but I wouldn't say I'm like back. I mean, I had a dude I was talking to at the Madball show on Saturday. It was just like, man, I thought you were dead. So I was like, not like I'm back. Like,
no, but I'm doing a new thing.
yeah,
right.
I'm back, but I'm not there every weekend like I was. You know, it's got to be a certain show that gets me out of the house that I come to, or a festival weekends. I look forward to the festival weekends because I can hit everybody in one weekend, and then the other times I got family stuff I can do.
Bro, that's
now,
the only
you know?
thing I like that about festivals, meeting and marketing with people. God damn it, dude! I really
Interviews are
interviewing
too
at
short, man.
festivals
You get no
suck
time.
for
Yeah,
me.
I'm with you.
You're here right now singing on my show goes down, man.
Yeah, I like time
It's
to
different.
talk and get into shit. You know?
Exactly, man. Let's get to know the real fucking person. Let's sit down and talk with them. Let's open this thing
Yeah,
up.
15 minutes is definitely.
Yeah.
Man,
And then they give you the bullet points that they want you to hit, and you're
Oh,
just
no,
like,
I know. I disregard those
man,
completely.
you know?
Listen, so when Kermera came up to do the interview with us, the first thing that they said was nothing about drugs or guns. And like the third thing I brought up was drugs and guns. I was like, "You're gonna tell me not to bring that up?" Oh, now I'm definitely
Yeah.
100% getting brought up. And by the time I finished, you know, everybody was like, "Dude, that was fucking awesome."
I mean, we are the Wake and Bake as well, so I mean,
Yeah.
kind of know what it is.
The name,
Right,
you know
I'm
what
like,
you're getting into.
but I thought it was just so funny.
Right,
I mean, manager, right before we went live, you know, he told me
I mean,
that.
you're not a donut shop.
And I was like,
you
he told me that right before, you know, we went live and shit. And I'm like, oh, yeah, of course, man. Absolutely. Professional.
yeah, but you were like
And then he
freaking
had
Jim Morrison on that Sullivan
but
show
then,
or whatever.
Yeah. But the funniest
Yeah,
part
they
was, dude, is he didn't Ed Sullivan me because after it, when I closed out, and those guys were so happy with the interview, he came over and was like, that was amazing. And I was like, thanks, dude.
Trust me. Trust me. I know
I
what
was
I'm
like,
doing.
God, let
I'm
me
Blind
go.
James, bitch.
But yeah, damn. I'm Blind James, bitch, yes.
It's not your conventional fucking interview though either. Like we were unlike everybody else in the tent. You know, I mean,
yeah.
you
We're
like.
hitting bowls
But
and
that's
shit.
that's the
Come
whole.
on.
Well, yeah. We were hitting bowls here on the slide, like shit. You know, like trying to be cool. You know, we weren't smoking a whole bunch. You know,
No,
smoking
no,
out.
yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
enough,
yeah,
but you know, it's not like
Yeah, we weren't trying to be disrespectful.
no,
Yeah.
But
No, dude, I was
At the
watching
same
you
time,
guys.
don't
Like I
come
said,
up and tell me, hey,
know?
don't talk about this, because now it's in my head.
well, this is
definitely
our
gonna talk
fucking
about
show, so I mean, you know.
Yeah.
I was watching
So
you
I was
guys
like,
when
I'm
you
not-
came and set up. I
Yeah.
knew I made.
Like, I'm not
I made it-
iHeartRadio over here, sorry.
Yeah, I was intentional about coming over and introducing myself and saying, "You guys caught my eye. I like what you're doing." And you know, I was hoping that eventually we'd all get together, and here we are. Right
We are
now,
on
you
the
know?
Wake and Bake.
And we're probably going to be back doing at the same festivals together. So it's good to build that community and
Oh, I don't
relationship
know.
and stuff like that.
Maybe we'll be at Incarceration. You can't tell if I'm winking because I'm missing an eye, but I am. We might be there. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
We may have gotten a word that rhymes with shore, and it's shore.
Certainly.
So yeah, we're looking forward.
Yeah, so you know, like we talked about off air earlier too, is just like, you know, I have this thing, you know, I built this network. Let me start trying to do something good with it now, you know. And like we were talking about, your interviews aren't the same as the average interviews. You know, as you saw when I was doing the thing with you, mine's not the same either. I like to get to know the person. I like the audience to get. You know, a lot of us sometimes
them fucking interview questions on them at the end.
Yeah,
That. That was smooth, man. I like that. Those on the spotters at the end.
One thing that I'm trying to do with mine is, like, you know, a lot of us fans or whatever, we'll put people on pedestals, you know, we'll put all these, and then sometimes when you meet them, it'll let you down.
That's one reason we had to get rid of our old producer, the one that was at Incarceration with us. Because it was like, all right, I told him, I said, hey, everybody you see with a fucking all access badge, I said, you run over there, ask them who the fuck they are, if they're in a band, what they do, and then you ask them if they want to come on the show. And he wouldn't do it. And then, like, he explained, he's like, dude, you just can't, I can't do it. To me, these are like rock stars. These are like big people.
Dude,
You can't
no
just walk up to
shit.
them.
My boy
Like, you
Dom,
can't just
he-
walk up to him. I'm like,
he
fuck
has-
that. I'm
he
like,
didn't
treat
give a
them like
fuck.
they're
He does that
scumbag
shit.
pieces of shit. Just walk up to everybody.
yeah, man, he went and grabbed the dudes from Shinedown and whatever and brought them into the tent. They weren't even scheduled to be
That's what I'm
in there
saying.
with
That's
him. My
what we
my
should have
dude's
been
good
doing.
like that.
Yeah.
I, on the other hand, am still building back to that. Like I said, you know, I've been starting to do this, and it helps my anxiety. It's like therapy for me to get to talk to people and learn how to communicate again, where I do step out of my, you know, comfort zone.
Right. And
And
the
start
thing with
doing
not
that.
mine is, I mean, I'm pretty good at fucking persuading people. So if I can get like, it's gonna be great Emma Waldo because now he can see somebody walking by and just be like, oh, you know, this dude looks like he's got all access badge. He'll run over and talk to him.
Yeah.
And then
sweet.
even if he doesn't know what to say, once he finds out, you know, what they do or whatever, he can just be like, oh, well, we got a host over here. It's this blind dude. He would like to get a picture or interview or whatever.
Yeah.
And if I can even get him to come over and take the picture, I
Just say,
could
hey, you got a couple
probably-
minutes
right,
to
I could
talk.
probably
and,
get
you
him
know.
to give me a couple minutes. And if not, oh well.
And what's great too is like, you know, when you bring them over without their handlers or whatever, it's like a couple minutes turn into 30 minutes, some of them will be like whatever, no one's
When I get a 10
Yeah.
minute interview, it turns into a half hour.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
They're like, dude, how
doing
long
what
we
you're
been-
supposed to be
shit,
doing, and
We
they're
got 9 other interviews we got to do. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, you do, bitch.
if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and they're enjoying it and they're comfortable, man, then you know it becomes a conversation. And like I was saying, you know, sometimes we put people on pedestals, and I want to take those pedestals down and kind of like get real with them so the fans can listen like, wow, this dude's been through some of the same struggles I'm dealing with. He got through it and is who he is today. Maybe I can get through it too. Maybe this, you know, like that's why I wanted to have your story on
You know
the
what? I
show too, to
forget-
inspire people that have been through some shit. They're not all, they put their pants on just the same way we do and shit,
Dude,
you know?
all right, so one of the things that
Or
happened.
maybe they have chicks putting them on for them now. But, you know, whatever.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, good on you, man.
But it's
There's
one leg at a
thing-
time, I believe.
Right. If there's one thing I could say that caught me at incarceration with that pedestal thing is as we were standing there taking a picture with the dude from Five Finger Chris, the bassist, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, he was super cool, man.
Yeah,
And,
he's really cool.
Somebody walked up to me and they said something, and they were like, "What are you guys gonna do?" I was like, "I don't know, I'm probably gonna go cheap a couple bowls, hit a dab out the trunk, you know, whatever." And then he was like, "Whoa, hey man, watch out saying that stuff, man. Chris has like 2 years in recovery. Like he's probably gonna get offended." And I'm like, "This dude's in a fucking rock band. We're at a festival. You think he doesn't know about people smoking fucking weed?
Right.
Eat a dick." I'm like, I don't care if he's gonna judge me based on that.
Yeah, I think he's
Man,
a
that
big
dude
jiu-jitsu
ain't for
guy,
me,
too.
We
dude.
told him about the wake and bake too, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, wake and
dude,
bake."
right. And then that was the best part when I felt vindicated was that same dude that had said that was like chilling back by media. And as the dudes in Five Finger were riding on the golf cart to go to the stage to close out the festival, they shouted out the wake and bake.
Yeah.
And I was like,
wake and bake. I was
fuck
like,
you,
"Oh,
guy,
yeah."
whoever you were.
Well, Ivan's got his own CBD line and everything now too. The
Yeah,
singer,
but that's
you
not
know?
get you high at all.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
but he
then
knows
again,
what
it's
wake
still
and bake
friendly.
is, though. You
It's
know,
still
he's familiar
friendly
with
to
it.
that
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
Of course it is, yeah. But that's the thing. I was like, who cares if this guy's got 2 years in? If you got 2 years in recovery, that means he used to party harder than I did.
Yeah, and well, here's the
This guy's
thing.
been famous for
My
15 years.
personal belief, and this is me, and I think we're on the same page with this because you know we talked about your recovery as well. The plant is medicine. You know, I don't consider it a drug. I really don't. I don't consider it like, you know, I think it you know, it was put here on this earth to treat what it treats and do what it does. You know,
What do you do?
it's a medicine in my eyes. So I think a lot of people would be in a lot better shape if they got off of pharmaceuticals and, you know, got into the plant, man. And I'm hoping I'm pushing for, you know, veterans with PTSD to be cleared,
yeah,
and
definitely.
allowed to do
Waldo's
that.
big on that, man.
Yeah,
Hey,
sweet, man. Awesome. Love
it
to
was
talk.
like one of our.
Yeah.
We'll have to link you up with one of our friends out in DC, man. Phone homie. Shouts out, turp it up, slap it down. Phone
Turp it
homie.
up.
Phone homie.
Yeah, happy belated birthday to him right
Happy
now.
belated birthday to
Yesterday
homie.
was his birthday.
Yesterday. Oh,
Yes.
man.
Same with Dante, right? Wasn't it Dante's birthday as well? So shout out to
Yeah,
Peter
man,
Dante
shout out
as
to,
well.
Peter Dante, friend of the Wake and Bake. We'll be,
Hakuna Matata, brother.
Very
Hakuna
good.
Matata.
Ain't it, dog? Oh man, I can't wait to try. some.
One thing I did want to say though is like the difference between us like in the media tent though is like we're not being told what to say as well. You know, we're not being paid by like a big like iHeart or something to be
It's
like,
all our
here
thing,
you go,
you
here's
know?
this interview and everything. You know, we have originality to our podcast. And stuff,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
so-
and I mean, I'm kind of like, you know, I'm with you guys. It's just like, but you know, when they got the handlers in there, they say, okay, we want you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I
No,
kinda
shit.
See, and that's when
No,
when they
shit.
learn their
Yeah.
best thing to do is to not
Yeah,
say
just-
anything to me. Just you leave me alone,
Yeah.
or I'm gonna.
Don't
Oh my god, this is gonna go.
don't pitch me
This
the
is gonna
ball. I'm
go
gonna hit.
opposite.
You know?
Right, dude.
Right.
I'm gonna let
Pitch
you
the
know.
ball. I'm gonna hit out the park.
I was gonna
You're
say,
like,
let
come
you know,
on,
bitch.
man,
I
just
love a curveball. So get ready.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay? I throw the fucking junk ball, bitch. Get ready. That screwball's coming in strong. Yeah, dude. I'll double dose it. But yeah.
But yeah, I just don't like the time too. It's just like, all
Yeah,
right,
they
you
just
gotta
like-
get to the next one. You gotta get to
Yeah,
the next.
come
at
on.
You
one
gotta wrap
point-
it up. I was like, I was just getting to know this dude.
Coach,
You know?
at one point, I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been with Titans in Time, maybe. I was like, I am so sick of these stupid fucking questions. I was like, man, you guys want, how are we going to storm Area 51? We just started, I was just like, I'm so done with all these bullshit questions. I was like, let's just talk.
I remember back
Oh,
at
shit,
when
yeah.
we did Rock on the Range, and this was, you know, Dom's my sidekick, so he would do most of the talking. But you know, whenever I got the opportunity to interview through my nervousness and stuff, I would talk about. There was this band Radkey at the time, these young gentlemen, and one of them was wearing like a comic book shirt or
Radke.
Yeah.
Radke.
yeah,
Was it Ronnie Radke's band?
I don't
The guy
remember,
who
but
now
anyway.
sings for Falling in Reverse.
No idea, but I sat down and spoke with them, and we didn't even really talk about. We briefly touched on, hey, what's the tour like? You guys are young kids, so what do you think about this, that, and the other? And I go, hey, I noticed your shirt. What do you think about the Marvel movies? And then we went into just the rest of the thing. We were just talking comic books the whole time. I was showing them my
Hell
tattoos,
yeah.
you know, with Captain America.
Yeah,
and,
we do a lot of that.
you know, and it's just like that. The rest of that interview became about that. I had a chance to interview Nita Strauss, and she was there, and she'd opened the one day playing the Star Spangled Banner on guitar, you know, like Jimi Hendrix style
That's
or whatever.
fucking
So, you know, I'm talking to her about that and the vets, and then, you know, I'm like asking her questions. What were you, when you were being, you know, as a young lady, because I got two daughters at home, you know, I was asking questions like, you know, what got you into this, and, you know, what were you allowed to do, you know, so it became something totally, you know, she was giving me like advice on like, yeah, well, maybe do this with your daughters, you know, whatever, you know, I was learning from a woman how to help encourage
yeah.
my daughters to pursue
My
their
bad. I didn't
passions
put
and
that in your
stuff.
face. My bad.
That's cool. It's like adds effect, you know. the whole thing. I'm like the Undertaker coming
Right,
out.
yeah, it's the wake and bake.
Yeah.
It's gonna get a little smoke upon you.
You know, asking people stuff like that makes them comfortable, though.
Yeah,
You know,
and I think
what
we had
comes
a
with
really
being
good
great
interview out of it
you know?
and everything. You know, it's on that one's on YouTube, so you can go watch it. She was, you know, it was great. I enjoyed it. You could tell I was still nervous, and I had my long hair and whatever, but you know, I'd love that opportunity again in the future. You know, because now that I've been doing this today's Boondoggle podcast stuff, I'm getting more comfortable, and we can get into stuff. You know.
Oh yeah, man, definitely. That's the
Yeah.
move, man. And you know, you see how I had like this huge vision because I drew the inspiration for all of the shit that this show has from Rover and Alan Cox. So you know, I knew right away that I wanted to have, you know, simulcasting video, audio, and I wanted everything to be as professional as possible, done from a grassroots, you know, place.
Yeah.
So, you know, we made that happen pretty damn well.
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
say.
You know how we were talking earlier too about like envisioning how things are going to go. Sometimes we go in our head and think this is going to happen this way and this is going to happen
It's
that
not
way.
even gonna be
or whatever.
like that. Never gonna be like that.
But no, I mean, I was thinking about coming over, you know, when it was my turn to do this with you guys. And I was like, I'm going to fuck with them. And I'm going to get up and stand over here to answer the question. Be like, whoa, where's your voice coming from? And shit like that. But you guys got so much shit. I'm like trapped.
Yeah,
I can't get up and do any of my shit.
We got you.
You know? Yeah. You got me like tied.
Got you in there.
Yeah. So you foiled my plans of,
That's right.
you know,
I gotta get
all of a sudden
locked in
you're going to ask
there.
me this. And then all of a sudden I'm going to answer like right over your shoulder, right in your ear, like a creep, like,
Yeah.
yes. And you'll be, whoa, you know.
But then the people wouldn't know, man. If you go back and listen, they'd be like, what the fuck? Why is he not talking into the mic, this asshole?
I know. Well, the ones that stream and see the video, I think they
Right,
get a
right.
kick out of it.
They would, bro.
Like, you
Just
know.
say audio, man.
That's why I'm wearing my
You're
Domain
gonna
Cleveland
sound like a
shirt and
fuck
promoting
guy.
it on there and everything.
No, what are you rocking?
Domain
Oh,
Cleveland.
Domain Cleveland shirt,
You gotta
man.
hook us up with some tees to wear out on the road.
Dude, I gotta bring them back and reprint them.
Good, bring
It's
them
a
back.
good stuff.
It's a
I
good
need
time.
small.
Funny story. When I originally was putting out the Domain Cleveland shirts, and we've been Darth Vader and Star Wars has been a recurring thing for us to talk about today. But when I originally was bringing out the Domain Cleveland shirt, and I had the idea, and I was giving it to my buddy to print. You know, I had a couple guys that helped start this with me. Doug Esper and Larry McCloskey were my crew at the beginning of starting the Domain Cleveland thing. But I was like, dude, check this out. I got Darth Vader on the shirt, standing in front of the Rock Hall, you know, because the Rock Hall kind of looks like a spaceship. And then we're going to have Domain Cleveland like Star Wars letters. And they're like, dude, I wouldn't do that. It's not a good idea, copyright or whatever. And I said, fuck it, I know better, you know. So I had like a box of these things made, and I was friggin', trying to sell them. I got a cease and desist from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, man.
I'm surprised Lucasfilm didn't get to
I wanted that one. After I got the Rock Hall, I was like,
going
and I still got the Rock Hall letter, put away somewhere in my memorabilia or whatever, of dumb things I did, But I was just like, where's George, man? So then I couldn't sell them anymore and profit anymore. So then I would just give them to bands on the road, and they would wear them.
Sent one out to the Lucasfilm people.
Yeah. Well, now there's like none left.
Design, question mark?
That was like the original or whatever. I mean, we still kept the back. The back of it says the 216 Strikes Back, and it looks like Empire Strikes Back. I'll show you guys, when I can move.
Yeah, man, that's dope. Yeah, you gotta get some new ones.
Yeah, I definitely will, man. Yeah, I like to get when I had that good relationship with Randy from Lamb of God, when he would come through and play, he'd wear the Domain Cleveland shirt on stage and stuff. Like he did a thing at the amphitheater, Tower City Amphitheater or whatever, when they opened for Slayer, and he was up on there with it, dude. And I was just like, that's awesome. There's a lot of people getting to see, But
that's what I look forward to, man. We gotta get some Wake and Bake gear, hook it up to our
man,
friends,
In the
and have them
future,
wear it
we
around
will.
on tour.
I know some people.
We'll get
Maybe we
there.
can all, work with the same crew or whatever, print some stuff out. So, I'll help you guys out. That's what it's about, helping each other out, right?
Ain't it though?
Yeah.
Okay, so what are some of the upcoming things you're looking to do with your show?
I wrote out like a list of potential interviews and people that I want to.
Yeah, we list
Talk
a lot.
to-
we list a lot, and then we go fucking one by one through their pages.
Yeah, I mean, and you were now I can take you off. I had you on. I have and it goes like I just recently interviewed Matt Lodi, and he's a local sports announcer guy, sports reporter and whatever. And he works for Sports Illustrated and stuff too. He'll be representing the Cleveland Indians for Sports Illustrated. And I got connected with him because he's battling cancer right now. So he's got he was gracious enough to have me over, and we talked, and he had a really powerful story. So it's not just like bands with me. I'm looking for people that have like some kind of story that can inspire other people. So I reached out to, I did Starboy Scott. He was the guy that formed the Starboys. I remember them, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he got to share his story about addiction and coming through addiction.
Those
and
dudes had
whatever.
some of the craziest bike stunts of all
Oh
time.
yeah, man.
Time.
You should check that one out, man. He said some amazing stories, and now where he's at today with his faith and family. Now they go to like prisons and do shows, and then he ministers to them and stuff like that.
Oh, that's fucking sweet.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
for him.
So so it's not just like with interviewing bands. I'm trying to get people that I think have something. Like I said, when I heard your story, when you sent me that link, I was just like, all right, I want to talk to this dude. I mean, we could cut it up and talk about all the crazy stuff and try and like shock people or whatever. But I think when we get to the meat of everybody and what makes people tick and what the struggles they've been through, I think that pulls people in, and people need to hear that, and it can inspire them to say, you know what?
Right, like me, I'm not a vet, but I got some PTSD that I can fucking share some
Yeah,
shit about.
yeah. It's not just the vets don't own the market on PTSD. I know that.
Yeah, they done.
Well,
You
that's
you definitely got the stigma of it more than anybody.
Yeah.
It's understandable. 100% understandable.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like what I'm hoping, is like, the stigma remains the longer we don't talk about certain things.
Yeah.
You know,
100%,
people are
dude.
afraid to talk about things.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
I interviewed September Morning, like back in September, I think, and the Joker movie had just came out. You know, Joaquin Phoenix and stuff, and she's a big comic book person, and we started talking about the Joker and DC Comics and stuff. But then we got into how the Joker movie brings mental health to the forefront. People are talking about mental health again. It's an issue we can't ignore, and the fact that there's not enough, things out there available to help people because it's so stigmatized, and people are so embarrassed to come forward because they're worried about the judgment and people getting on them that they don't find help, and then we hear about a suicide or something like that.
Gooch throws a show every year with his collective Us versus Them.
Yeah.
Gooch, want to tell them a little bit about
It's
it?
called the Finding Comfort show, and we do it with like all of our local friends. But it's for my friend. Well, I went to school with him as well, but for my friend Dave's best friend, growing up as a child, he committed suicide probably about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, we pretty much just throw the show in October for like suicide awareness, like during that month and everything.
Yeah.
You know,
I had a nephew, my only nephew, my brother's only son. He was, the next, Bailey boy in line, who unfortunately we lost to suicide. I mean, he used to, when I was first doing the domain stuff and getting started and going out to shows and dollar bills running around, I'd bring him along, he'd tag along with me. And unfortunately, at 20 years old, it was in November of 2001, just after 9/11. He took his life. I went. It fucked me up for a while, because like his sister, my niece, had called me a few days before and was like, "Hey, can you give him a call? I think he'd really like to hear from you." And I never got around to it. I was too fucking busy being dollar bill. And then I get the phone call that I lost my fucking nephew.
And it's even harder.
Yeah, and that was it just didn't kill him. It like killed the majority of our family for a good long time. We had to work through that. But then I took, with my promotion in Domain Cleveland, I started doing an annual suicide prevention concert, and I would get bands. And I had the first one I did, I was gave all the money to I was going to give all the money to my brother, funeral expenses, whatever, however to help. And my brother was just like, I donate to this one charity, Berea Children's Home. Now it's called Ohio Guidestone. Every Christmas, why don't you put the money there? And I ended up going to donate the money, and then we started an endowment fund in my nephew's name. So they got this, this wall of all their funds in different names, and there's my nephew's name up there now. So his name lived on. So every year I would do another suicide prevention benefit concert. It became one of our biggest ones, and there was so much heart and passion in it for me, and so many other people that experienced similar things got together, and the bands would, want to play. I had Derek Hess, local artist. Derek Hess was like, "Hey, how can I get involved?" And he had the Stress clothing line at the time, so he partnered up with me, and he would do the artwork for the flyers for free, and then he would help me put the shows together because he was a strong advocate for it. And then J-Man, when he had his record label, Fractured Transmitter Records, he got involved. So it was like, yeah, it was. I feel you, man. It was something that I did for a number of years, and then I unfortunately haven't done it since I haven't done the band promotion part.
People like me and my friend are putting them on now. So
yeah, no, it's good, man. I love it.
Keeping it
going. And if there's anything I can do to help with that, I'd love to.
We'll invite you to the next one. It's usually at the beginning of October every year.
Yeah, and speaking back to incarceration, Tim Martinez, number 37, Tim, he was running around backstage. He used to do stuff on, I think it was Much Music or whatever. It was kind of like a VJ guy there. I was talking with him, and he's like an ambassador for the You Rock Foundation now, which is a suicide awareness prevention thing. And they've had like Corey Taylor and everybody shares stories on there and whatever. So I got to talk to him, and I shared a little bit of my story. He did a little video thing of me, and then I had him on the podcast too, and we finally got to talk about it. So it's just like, it's got its special place in my heart. Because, and the sad thing is, I hate to say it, is like there's been, I've still, even after that, and coming home and finally working on myself after overseas. I get sober, but I didn't work on the mental health side. And there's many times I thought about, ended my life too,
Yeah.
And like I was saying earlier, when your rock is your fiance that helped you through it. My rock is my daughters, man. I kept looking at my little girls and it was like, they need a dad. And I'm not gonna leave. And my goal is getting healthy is because I want to be here to walk them down the aisle on their wedding day. That's my biggest motivation.
That father-daughter dance is a big one.
Yeah. And I want to be there for that. So, I'm in a much better place now. I've done a lot of work on myself. I found some balance where it's not like one extreme to the other. I'm starting to learn the balance in the force,
Absolutely there is.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of which,
Yes. Let me get this one out though. So how do you feel?
quick.
So first of all, how do you feel about the whole Disney thing taking over Star Wars, and how do you feel about how they did Admiral Akbar?
I know we were talking about Admiral Akbar earlier. I'm not real. I'm honestly not a fan of Disney taking over everything. I'm a big Marvel fan as well. So it's like everything I like,
They just want to take
they have it now.
right.
So it's like, right away I'm a Disney Plus member. So I can watch everything all over again. I've been enjoying Mandalorian and everything. So it's like they're getting my money, but I liked. And I love The Force Awakens, man. It brought back all those feels again, and I got to go see that with my
Very
daughters.
Very nostalgic.
Like I remember growing up on Star Wars, and it's like I wanted to be Luke Skywalker, and then when I kind of started getting into chicks, I wanted to be Han Solo, and stuff like that growing up or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But it was like, I want to be a Jedi. I want to do this and that. So then when Force Awakens came out, I got to share that experience with my daughters and take them to the movies. I was just like, they got Rey now,
Yep.
I mean, they're all past that now. They just want to be like Kim Kardashian or whatever. So they're trying to work on it. I know.
How's that as a dad?
It hurts. That hurts more than probably
That's
anything.
the youth nowadays.
Yeah.
Asking you
But
for
but
Supreme boots.
Next Monday, we already have our tickets. IMAX 3D. Me and my girls are going to see the new Star Wars.
So awesome.
I'm going
IMAX,
Thursday night
so-
with my friends because I can't take the risk of somebody spoiling it.
Oh
for me
yeah, you
before
gotta go.
Monday.
You gotta go.
So I got to go and I got to see it for me. But me and my girls already we're going to go big time for the.
That cable's by the glass.
Yeah. Should I grab this?
Yeah.
It's empty now, so
Yeah. You don't want to knock
Thanks,
that
guys.
over.
We don't need another.
Waldo, don't be breaking that shit, right?
We don't need 3 of the day. That's all we need, man.
Yeah.
Next thing.
Three strikes, I'm out, dog.
I mean, I like the Mandalorian. It's been kind of cool, to watch. But it's just like, man. I thought J.J. Abrams did a fine job. I wasn't a big fan of, The Last Jedi for a number of reasons.
It's taken a lot of adjustments. I mean, the CGI I didn't like it with The Last Jedi because it was just so like, I don't know. I feel like these movies are a bit more rushed as well, so they don't take as much time.
You're not. They don't get to invest in the story and the people as much now.
And there's not enough time between either, though. Between any kinds of, they're just trying to push it all the time.
It's almost oversaturating it where people are going to get tired of Star Wars.
Yeah, I do exactly, and that's how it. It didn't used to be like that though.
Yeah, no,
we used to love it because it's like we thought it was gone.
They had to make the new Skywalker. Gotta be good because the last movie was dog balls.
Yeah.
Dude.
Oh yeah. Nobody
They gotta
it was
end
good.
this-
It was
gotta
good
end
for
this
what
right.
it was though, and they do have to end it right.
It was
definitely.
good for what it was, but man, they
No,
did Admiral Akbar
It wasn't.
wrong, dude.
It wasn't anything that we wanted, but yeah, they did do our homie wrong, man.
Yeah, man.
Like,
But and then it's like like I said, I've been watching everything over again to get ready, and I'm trying to be less critical this time, but it's still like when Luke chucks the lightsaber over his shoulder, it's still like a punch in the gut. What are you doing? You built all up in The Force Awakens to finally the end, and then we had to wait to finally see.
Yeah.
Sword away.
Yeah,
It was a stab in the back.
just like what a
honestly,
bitter
I
old
feel.
dude,
You just have.
And I've heard like Mark Hamill is like not happy with where the
that's
story's
the same
going with
thing
his
I've heard as
character
well,
either. I wouldn't be. I'm sure George Lucas is like, all right, I got the check, but still, that's not where I foresaw
Right, this
my
is what I was
shit
thinking
going,
you guys were
you
gonna
know?
do. But you know what? George Lucas did do the smart thing. He didn't give up any rights to the merchandise.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So,
Good
good
on
on
So
you,
he's still
mate.
getting paid.
Fucking yeah, he is.
I think it'll be good though.
Yeah,
I think it'll be a good ending, but like I said, I just want it to be over. Like end the Skywalker thing.
Yeah,
They're gonna keep on doing whatever
other
else they
stuff.
wanna
I mean,
do as well, so.
I've watched the the cartoons and stuff too, like Clone Wars. I've just
That
been
was a
watching
long-ass
Rebels.
one. Rebels is
lately.
really good. I do
Yeah,
like Rebels.
I'm in the 3rd season of Rebels.
I haven't
right now.
seen 3rd or 4th season, so I need
Yeah,
you know.
What do you think of? You're a Marvel fan too. What do you think of them coming up with the Black Widows movie?
dude, it looks badass, man.
I think it'll be
Fiance's
dope,
very
bro.
excited.
Yeah, dude, that's
He loves the
badass.
Black Widow story.
Dude, when they were filming Winter Soldier here in Cleveland, man, I
I love that movie.
I was bummed out. My buddy Stash owns it. Used to be called the Spitfire. Now it's Funhouse.
Yeah, I love
the
that
bar.
spot.
Yeah, yeah.
We went
And I
there for
guess
my birthday this year.
Scarlett Johansson came in there one day while they were in
Oh,
town, you know, and
yeah.
they kicked back and had a couple beers with them up there. I was like, that is awesome. So she's like punk rock, you know, because it's like, you know,
Yeah.
Fucking right.
yeah, man. You
Sorry,
know,
yo.
no classy place
You just got
downtown.
a
I'm going
mother-
to
Hey, why would you have to do that? Everybody's gonna know who you are. They're gonna be on you. You're not gonna get no
Yeah,
privacy.
yeah, yeah.
Stargate
You know, like,
just got a whole nother leave it in point for me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Word.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Black Widow looks good. I'm looking forward to that. I was, big Captain America fan, all his movies.
Are you DC? You're Marvel, of course, over DC then, right?
I'm Marvel over DC, but Batman and Superman were still my most collected and read DC.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Comics.
I like Doom Patrol myself, man. Doom Patrol's pretty fucking fun.
Yeah, and I mean, it kind
Because I like the whole Misfit thing. I love
Suicide
just, like, the
Squad
whole-
was kind of cool
Suicide-
too. I
yeah.
liked, out of their movies, because I think they really shit the bed on their
yeah
character development in their movies, unlike how Marvel has been
Yeah.
awesome, with the continuity and the growth and everything.
It's hard to compare.
But yeah. But Suicide Squad was all right, and like I said, I really enjoyed Joker.
I do too.
I have yet
That was
to.
really
I actually want to read that comic. Do you know?
So-
Do you know what comic that is actually from though?
Killing Joke is the show.
Yeah, it was
No.
a cartoon.
No, I'm talking about the Joker movie, the new
the
new
current
Joker
movie. No, I mean, is it supposed to be?
I'm pretty sure it was based off of
Supposed
one
to
of the
be.
comics, but I'm not
Based
sure
on-
which one it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've read Killing Joke, and it's kind of like, I didn't see
Not
the,
as
I
dark
didn't,
as Killing Joke.
yeah, I
is
didn't
it?
see it. I
Killing
don't know
Joke
which
is
ones
fucking-
it's supposed to be like based
Watch
on
the
or whatever.
cartoon of Killing Joke.
That shit's dark as
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah.
I got a hard time listening to that cartoon.
It was the
That's
first
rough.
Rated R
yeah,
cartoon or
R-rated
something. Shit.
cartoon.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
fucked up.
Yeah, very fucking.
Then again, I mean, when you think about it, like there's cartoons like Spawn too, though. That should have been.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
Spawn. Spawn was another comic I
I
collected.
fucking
when they
love
first
Spawn,
broke
bro.
into
I got all
Spawn,
the
and I had
figures
the
and
old.
shit.
I still have the old
Man.
VHS tape of the cartoon
Man, I fucking
series
love
that
that.
was on.
Just talking
This
about
show's
that
so
the other day.
badass, bro.
Yeah.
So badass.
That nostalgia
Spawn
game was
was good
heavy.
stuff,
You
man.
can
Word,
tell
though.
up in here.
Yeah,
dude.
dude.
That's
That's what it's about. Like, you start finding something that somebody's passionate about, start
Dude.
talking about it, they'll go on forever.
I feel like the new
Yeah,
generation doesn't
I'm
know
a
about
comic
Spawn,
book
bro.
dude. I'm a friggin', Star Wars dude.
Yeah.
All about it, man. We can talk forever.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, and we're big into marijuana and music too.
Yeah.
All of the above.
All of
Yeah.
those.
Just
man.
about anything, man. Shit.
Yeah,
Like,
fun, man.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, I mean, going back to like the Star Wars thing. Here's the other thing. I mean, this is with everything in Hollywood right now, and this might piss a lot of people off. So I don't know, but it's just how I feel. Is like when you have to like announce like, hey, we're gonna have a gay character in here. It almost takes away from the movie. Just put in the gay
Yeah,
character.
dude, just put it
Don't
away.
announce
You gotta
it.
make it a thing.
Why we make it such a big thing? If you want to put in a
Because
gay
it's not,
character,
but
put
they
the gay
wanna make
character.
it.
But you want to have all that intention,
Exactly.
and it's all this inclusivity or whatever.
They
stuff
want to
that we're
stir
all
the
going
pot
for.
with that kind of shit instead of letting it be what it is.
Yeah, just let it be what it is. I mean, I whatever. Hey, man, when I was in the military, they had the don't ask, don't tell thing going on, and I didn't care. I knew who was gay and who wasn't. We all worked together and did our job, and it was
Right,
just
that's
like I
what
didn't
matters.
have no
Right.
whatever. It's when you started making it a thing and telling me that I have to make it a thing too is when I have a problem with it.
Yeah, I feel that, man.
When you're forcing stuff down me. Hey, man, whatever. Don't put. Everybody has to have their own thing and at a different level. And it's just like everybody just do your thing and let's just,
Let bygones be
Yeah,
bygones.
live and let live, man.
That's the best way to be. On that
Man,
note,
fuck the
man,
media.
I would say I want to wrap this thing up because my stomach is killing me.
Yes,
right
and I
now,
have to
dude.
piss like
Yeah,
motherfucker.
yeah.
Oh
Woo.
my god, dude! I need insulin so bad. I need to get home.
And I need
I'm
food.
dying over
I
here.
bet Bill needs some food too.
Oh, I feel like-
Yeah, but
Oh,
and I gotta keep eating clean because you know
too.
Ray
Same
Terry
with
will be
that guy.
watching. Yeah.
So, all right, man. Well, let's. I'm gonna do the roundabout real quick. First off, Waldo, my dude. Thank you for coming out running the stream. Well, not coming out. You kind of stayed at the other. And you came here and set everything up beforehand, so thank you for that.
Happy to be
And
here.
yeah, dude, you already know, man. Tell the people they can find you.
You guys can find me on Instagram at Party with Waldo or on Facebook at Waldo Where Is.
Nice.
Hit that man up when you're hitting up the Wake and Bake. You'll be talking to Waldo, and he'll be scheduling you for all that stuff, including helping me schedule Vision Fest, April 18th, Stella's Music Club. And then we got the man, the legend, Don Cooch.
Yep.
My dude, thank you for coming out and doing our recording, as always.
Yeah. It's been a long one, but a fun one.
Yeah, man. Thank you
Yeah.
too. You guys had to
Hell
sit
yeah.
through my thing with them, and now you know
Hell
I
yeah.
appreciate you sticking around and having the schedule open.
Content,
Fuck
baby.
yeah, love it. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Keep pushing, keep doing what we do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Coach, tell people they can find you, man.
At Don_Cooch. That's KOOCH on Instagram.
That's right, man. Hit them up for your recording needs and or otherwise. All that good
Mhm.
shit. And then Bill Bailey,
Yes, sir.
the Electric Boogaloo. On Domination Cleveland.
Yeah, Domain Cleveland.
Dominatrix Cleveland.
Yeah, Dominatrix Cleveland. That's a whole other business, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you want to partner up, you know, yeah, let me know,
Hey,
man.
Thank you for coming on to the Wake and Bake, dude. It's
Oh,
been a
thanks for
long time
having
coming.
me. I appreciate it, man.
Definitely, my man. And please tell people where they can find you and your show.
My Instagram's Patriot216. And we also have, you know, Domain Cleveland at Domain Cleveland or Domain at Domain CLE. We got domaincle.com. We got, you know, on Facebook, Domain Cleveland Entertainment. And we got Today's Boondoggle on Domain Cleveland Radio. So you could just search Today's Boondoggle on Domain Cleveland Radio for a lot of stuff with the podcast. That's either on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. The Twitter machine, I don't use that often. I need
none of
to,
us
yeah,
do
fuck,
that.
you know.
Fuck that thing.
but yeah, man, look it up and hopefully, you know, look at where it's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, you know, all those ones we were talking about earlier. I don't have the video stuff going yet and the Patreon, but you know, who knows? We, you know, partnership form or whatever. You guys can throw me the guys you fired or whatever, and I'll hire them or something.
You don't want to work with them. They'll fuck your show up.
Yeah.
We have to do a lot of damage control.
Yeah.
So,
But,
we don't want that.
But yeah, hit, you know, follow, subscribe, and check out the interviews like the ones we mentioned earlier, man. I think the intention is to get people to listen. The intention is, you know, for our veterans overseas to forget about where they're at, put in your earbuds or earphones, and listen to, you know, people share real life stories and give you a shout out and stuff.
Fucking right.
You know, hopefully, like we can have
Shit,
that thing
yeah.
where we do that USO tour together. You know,
Yeah, man,
someday.
that'd be fucking
You know?
sick,
Shit,
man.
yeah,
And
really
like
cool.
I said, when we hit up, you know, the same festivals, man, you know, we'll partner up. And, you know, you can always come into the mobile oven and, you know, get cool off from
The
there,
mobile
grab
oven,
yourself a drink, rip a bong.
Appreciate it, man.
Of
Appreciate
course,
it.
man. Of
Good.
course, dude.
Love it.
And then
You call
my
it
little
the
sign
toaster.
off. Yeah.
Toaster.
The toaster. I love it.
Yes!
Yes! Cooch coming in
Yes.
strong.
Yeah. He's your trademark
That's
guy.
why he's the backbone.
know?
He's the backbone. I'm the head and face. Waldo's
Better
the
copyright that shit, man, right now.
We're in the oven right now.
God damn, we're in the
We're in the toaster.
Pull up in the
Road
mobile
toaster.
toaster.
Oh,
That's
so
great.
And on that note, man, thank you guys for stopping by and waking and baking this evening. I've been your host, Blind James. As always, you guys know you can find me on Instagram at The Real Blind James. You can watch our show on Facebook and YouTube at The Wake and Bake with Blind James and listen on your favorite streaming platform. You can just tell your phone or smart speaker to play The Wake and Bake with Blind James, and it will do so. And then pop over to patreon.com/Blind James. Look it up with that donation. Help us keep our show afloat. Keep bringing you dope-ass interviews like the one we brought you today. And again, thank you guys for stopping by Waking and Baking. And remember, even if you lose your sight, never lose your vision.
Peace.
Sweet, man. I got to do that whole thing pitching for money, too, you know?